After we did that parallel park and we went home, we went to Florida, home time, down in Sarasota, Tampa area and stuff. And we took a couple of days off. We wanted to stay out for Thanksgiving and stuff, and we didn't really want to stay out for Thanksgiving. I mean, we didn't really want to go home for Thanksgiving, so we went home. And, prior to all this, Ronnie had already had a leg swelling. His right leg used to swell up. Got pretty big and go down and swell up and then go down. And it would swell up anytime he was sitting down. It would swell up, and he said it started as soon as he got here. When he got on the Greyhound. I remember the first day I met him, he told me how it happened and stuff. And so I pay no mind to that. He knows what's going on with himself. I mean, he told me what was going on and stuff. And well, we started training, and this is going on, and he went back home in September after he got his license, and he was supposed to go to the doctors, but because the transition getting his license was a little quicker than normal, and so he didn't really get to go to the doctor then. So that went on, and then we continued doing the TNT face and so on, as you guys had seen on YouTube and stuff. And that went on. His leg was still, it used to swell up and it'll go down. It used to swell up and go down. And I thought nothing of it. Rodney, he said he was good. Rodney said he was good. So we kept on, and then Thanksgiving come around, a week before Thanksgiving, and he took some aspirins. He took a couple aspirins. He took some aspirins. It only took two of them, and he took them in the morning and stuff, hoping that it would help with his leg. All right. Lo que estaba diciendo es que Ronnie, cuando él vino a Prime, él venía con una pierna que él dice que se le hinchaba. Él decía que, él dijo que él empezó a hinchar cuando él venía en el bus. I mean, no sé, él me dijo eso, pues yo le creo, ¿me entienden? Y todo en ese trayecto, él sacó su licencia, y cuando fue a California a cambiar su licencia, no pudo ir al doctor en ese tiempo porque era una transición muy rápida, y no tuvo tiempo, la verdad. Y pues en todo esto, la pierna se le hinchaba y se le bajaba, se le hinchaba y bajaba. Y en una de esas que tuvimos en la casa, él fue a comprar unas pastillas, unas aspirinas. Se tomó unas aspirinas y fue cuando él empezó a sentirse mal. Vuelvo y le repito, la pierna a él se le hinchaba y se le bajaba. So, after he took the aspirin, he started feeling not good. He felt different. He knew his body. He felt different. So, I told him, I said, don't take him anymore. He stopped taking it, and then he knew his body. He knew something was going on. We just wasn't sure. First I thought it was the aspirin reacting to his body. Maybe he's allergic to aspirin. He used to have an inhaler he should do for his asthma. Maybe I had any reaction to that. Blood pressure, sugar. He was a type 2 diabetic. He controlled his diabetes by eating what he ate and stuff. So it was a few questions we had. A few days went by, and he was feeling different. He was feeling weak. Um, at that point, we picked up in Miami, and we went to Tracy, California. And at that point, we was on a tight run. We had to go, go, go. So, and this whole time, I'm asking him, "You all right? You good? You good?" He said, "Yeah, yeah, I'm good. I'm good. It's just I'm feeling a little uh, tired. Over just his chest was feeling funny. Nothing didn't hurt." Um, so we get to Tracy. We get to Tracy, California, and he was feeling more exhausted. So at that point, I said, I always ask him, "You all right? You all right?" He said, "Yeah, I'm good. I'm good." He was just feeling tired and whatnot. So, um, so we kept going. After we delivered in Tracy, we picked up in Oakland, the FedEx in Oakland, and this is when I posted that picture when I had a FedEx trailer. So we picked up in Portland, Oregon, went up to, Oakland, California, and we went to Portland, Oregon. On the way up there, Rodney got off in Weed, California. There's a pilot there. He got off there, and he said he felt lightheaded. He said he almost passed out. So I said, "You good, man? Are you able to drive?" He said, "Yeah, it's just my body. He's never been sick." He said, so, this whole time I'm making sure he's good. Can he drive? Or, um, are you good? Can he drive? He said, "Yeah, I can drive." I said, "All right, cool." You know, um, so we got up to Portland. We turned around and picked up and come back down to Oakland. 650 miles, almost 700 miles. So we get to Oakland, and he's just feeling fatigued. He was starting to get shortness of breaths. He felt something was going on in his lung. And this whole time, again, I'm asking him, "Are you all right, man? You all right?" Um, he said, "Yeah, I'm good, I'm good." So at that point, we met with one of his nieces. We was at FedEx in Oakland. I guess he hadn't seen his niece in years, like 4 or 5 years. I can't remember what he said. And we was able to meet her, and she was only around the corner from us, like literally around the corner. So I was able to park the truck in front of the hotel where she was sitting. Yeah, Dave. So we parked in front, talked to her. I met her, a real nice person, really a good personality. It's just Ronnie's family, and it was one of those things where it was meant to be, because what are the odds of, her work and our work, the type of work we do, that we happen to be in the same place at the same time. So you don't really think about these things until afterwards. So we met her. He talked to her for a few minutes, good 30 minutes, and we wasn't able to take a picture because his niece was just woken up, and I didn't want to say you want to take a picture. So she kind of feels guilty about that, and I told her not to, because it's just one of the things that I'm usually would have suggested, but I didn't, and she said she would have too. Rodney was 61. As young as he looks, he was 61 years old. He turned 61 August 22nd. And I don't know if you remember, guys, that video that I did. He had that. He was like, "Oh, I got bubble guts." And we was at the Hooters, remember? And then we got that flat tire. Yeah, appreciate that, guys. Yeah, 40, yeah, that's what I told him when I first met him. I said, "You 40, man?" He said, "Man, thanks for the compliment." And everybody that's met him thinks that he's 40, 45. And yeah, Black Lion, he looked really good for 61. And I told him, I said, "Bro, man, you good, man." So Anyways, we going back to the story. We was in Weed, California, and he felt lightheaded. So this whole time, I kept asking him. We're back in Oakland. We met his niece, and then after that, we were supposed to go to back down to L.A. to pick up. So remind me, guys, we're up here in Oakland. We got to go back down to L.A. to pick up to come to Seattle. So at that point, Rodney was starting to tell me that he could not walk much. He couldn't walk much. He could walk, but not much, because I remember just on the other side of that hotel where his niece was staying, there was a Panda Express, and I remember, I said, man, let's go get something to eat or whatever. But yeah, that's right, my man. Stay on top of your health. Definitely stay on top of your health. So we went down to LA. We dropped the trailer in LAX, El Segundo, I think it's called. And this whole time, we got to the Flying J in Modesto, took a shower. He went in and showered. He was walking very slow. He was winded. It just was tired. He got tired real quick. And I remember at that point, he had read a couple things online about what he thought that was going on with him. At one point, he mentioned there was a blood clot, could have gone to his heart. I remember him saying it, and I remember clearly telling him, I said, look, man, don't think that, because I'm thinking blood clot is like instantly hits your heart and you're done, right? And I said, man, no, it might be something with your blood pressure. It might be something with your sugar. And he said, all right, cool. And then I said, are you feeling good? You good? Can you drive? He said, yeah, I'm good. So we showered. We went down to LAX, to the FedEx, dropped the trailer. We wasn't going to be able to leave until about midnight, 1 a.m. So we went to eat, and again, yes, Rodney, he was all about that 10-9, code 9. So we went to eat, and we went to eat at this place called Habit. That was my first time ever eating at that place. And I remember I wanted Chipotle, but something told me, go where Rodney wants to go. And usually I'll be like, man, you sure you want to eat that place, man? Let's go to Chipotle, man. Or, So we went to Habit. Yeah, Louis, Linus. He was all about Chipotle and Panda Express. I got him hooked on that. I had him hooked on that. So we went to Habit. He had a chicken salad, grilled chicken salad. It looked good. I had me a burger, which I didn't like. I believe Habit was a knockoff of Five Guys. So he had the salad. He said it was good. And he said all of a sudden, he said it went down. I said, Ronnie, how's the salad, man? It looks good. He said, Junior, it started off good, but it just went down. And I said, man, that sucks, man. I said, all right, well, hey, Jessica. I said, all right, man, So we went back to FedEx. We laid down. He went to sleep. I went to sleep. I had run out of hours because I drove from Modesto, Tracy area to LA. And we got there about 6, and we had to leave about 12:31. So I was out of hours. All right, Linus. So we got there. I'm out of hours. He had to start driving. I said, you good? Now, this whole time, Rodney's in the truck. He's not doing much. So I said, you good? He said, yeah, I'm good. So he drove his shift from LA, and we got to Redding. And I remember he drove pretty good. I mean, I trusted him, and that's why I train people from the beginning, because you build trust, I trusted him with my life and anything, So he Drove up to Reading. That's where we switched. And I started driving. He went to sleep. I said, "You good, man?" He said, "I'm gonna be out," because he drove from about 1 o'clock to maybe about noon, I believe, about noon. And then I started driving. So I started driving. Yeah, Eric. And he told me, he said, "Man, you're gonna be having, nice scenery." And that's one thing that he said. He used to tell me all the time. He said, "Junior, just the scenery out here, man, it's unbelievable. You know, it's like a dream that I can't even begin to describe." And that, he used to tell me that all the time. And I said, "Man, what you doing it, bro?" Yeah, Olving, it was like it's like almost 600 miles. I believe he drove 580 or maybe 540, something like that. So I took over. I got to, definitely, peoples, I got to Seattle. I drove almost my whole shift from Reading to Seattle. I got to Seattle. I remember I was pulling into the FedEx, and I looked back, and Rodney popped his head out of the curtain, and he said, "Man, we here already?" I said, "Yeah, man, we're here already, bro. You sleep good?" He said, "Yeah, man, I slept good." He looked good. Like, I'm like, okay, cool. That's my main goal, with any student. Make sure he sleeps good because I want him to be ready for his shift. So he got up. He got up from the bed, sat on the passenger side. I checked in at the definitely Suzette. Definitely happy. He was definitely happy. So I checked in at FedEx, and I remember him telling me, he said, "Junior, I'm exhausted, man. I do you mind taking care of things?" I said, "Look, bro, just chill out. I'll take care of things." I did the drop and hook, checked in, did everything. He just sat up front, and I believe he was on his phone at that point. Now that I remember, and Linus, Suzette, going back to Vivian's question, I believe he was on Facebook reading stuff. Or he was on his phone. How about that? He was on his phone doing something, and I want to say he was on Facebook. So he sat there this whole time. Definitely Luminous. So he sat there this whole time, and I did everything. We left FedEx, and this was about 2 a.m. Washington time. Hey, David, what's going on? 2 a.m. About 1 a.m. And then I went driving around looking for a spot because I usually find me some spots to park because I had the deadhead down from the Seattle to Tacoma. Okay, so he was talking to you, David. Okay, cool. I knew he was on his phone, but I wasn't sure what he was doing because I kept going in and out from the truck. And hey, what's up, Jamar? I kept going in and out from the truck because the lady was giving me crap about checking in early. It's like, if I'm late, you give me crap, but now you want to give me crap about checking in early? So I do remember him grabbing his phone and being on the phone. Just wasn't sure what he was doing. So I left the FedEx, and I'm looking for a spot to park, and we went around all these buildings, and I couldn't find nowhere to park. And this whole time he's sitting up there, he said, I remember him telling me, he said, "Man, Junior, I'm thirsty, man. I feel like I got dry mouth and stuff and everything." And I said, "Well, let me get you water." So I got him a water. Hey, what's up, Jacoby? So I got him a water, and we was driving. I said, bump this. I'm just going to go down to the truck stop. Hopefully I'll find a spot. We got to the truck stop. And I remember as we was getting there, he told me, he said, "Junior, can I have one of your gators?" I said, "Yeah, man, what's up? You good?" He said, Yeah, I'm good, man." And he said, "I feel like I caught mouth, dry mouth, when a football player or, somebody plays sports and they're real thirsty." I said, Yeah, I'll get you one. So as soon as we got into the Loves in Tacoma, exit 136 off of Interstate 5. I got him a Gatorade. Boom. He, drank it. He drank half of it. He said, man, because at first he thought that he was low on electrolytes. I said, nah, man, there's more than electrolytes going on here, bro. So, drove around the parking lot, very small. Yes, there isn't. I drove around. If you guys are aware of that truck stop that Loves in Tacoma, exit 136, Interstate 5, I pull in, I go to the right, make that loop around that parking lot there, and then I come back out. But what's crazy about all this is that this is where it all started. He came to Salt Lake City. This is where I met him. This is where I picked him up. This is where everything started. And this is where I got a chance to, making a live feed and stuff. This is where I first met Ruben. It was a three-way meetup. Ruben met me, I met Ruben, and I met Rodney. Rodney met Ruben, and so, back and forth. So it was cool, So we're in Seattle. I get to the truck stop, and where I went to the truck stop, I go back across, make my turn, my loop, go back across the pumps. As I'm going across, I'm like, man, I hope there's a spot here. Some bobtails in there. You think there's a spot? There's some bobtails there. I found a spot. I had the blind side, and I blindsided myself because, Rodney was feeling so fatigued, tired, overwhelmed, exhausted. Just, he was having shortness of breaths. So I got out. Hey, what's up, John? I got out and did it my own. At that point, I don't really care if, about anything. I want to make sure I get it back then. And my thing was that I'm going to let dispatch know, get us back down to California, which he's from Rialto, Fontana area. And we're going to get a load down there so he can go to the doctors, right? So we get to the truck stop, and I started talking to him. I said, Rodney, are you going to be able to see the doctor when we get down to California? He said, you know what, Junior? To be honest with you, man, I am just going to go straight to the hospital. I said, well, Rodney, well, if you're going to go to the hospital, bro, let's go to the hospital here. Bump that going all the way back to California. Just go to the hospital here. And he was like, man, just, I don't, say, he kind of thinking about it. I was like, man, I mean, I can suggest what to do, but I can't really tell Rodney what to do, or anybody. I kind of pushed him more than I would have normally, because I felt that he wasn't all there. He wasn't Rodney. He wasn't the Rodney that I knew. And he felt, and he said, Junior, I don't know, man, what's going on. I've never felt sick before. And I said, neither have I. I mean, I don't know either. So do you want to call the ambulance? He didn't want to make a scene at the truck stop. I said, bro, well, don't worry about the scene. Worry about you. And I remember telling him, I said, these trucks have been here longer than you, your age, and my age put together. And they're still going to be here. So let's worry about your health and get that taken care of. So he said, all right, give me a second. And he just sat on the passenger side, just kind of relaxed. And I remember I was doing my paperwork. I didn't want him to feel pressured to call the ambulance. So I remember him just seeing him just kind of just sitting, just relaxing and kind of breathing, And then I remember one point I said, you want to call, man? And he said, wait a minute, give me a minute. Let me, just wait. So I'm thinking to myself, what do you want to wait for? And he said, well, can we drive down to California? I said, well, no. I remember he had to tell him, he said, I can drive. I said, Ronnie, you can drive? Okay, cool. You can drive, but now you tell me, what are we driving for? I mean, I need to know something. What's the goal? You're going to be driving, but what are we driving to, towards what? It's been a few days already, 3 days, and you have not gotten any better. So what are we driving for? Are you hoping that you get better? Because it's not going to happen. It hasn't gotten any better. It's getting worse. And that's when he realized that I was right. And he came to the conclusion that, yeah, he needs to go to the hospital. So after I explained that, because he wanted to drive, but I'm thinking, drive where? What? I mean, I need to know, what are we driving towards? I'm hoping he gets better, but I knew he wasn't going to be getting any better. So we finally called the ambulance. He said, Junior, I've made a decision. Let's call the ambulance. I want to go to the hospital. I said, okay. So I called the ambulance, and I said, do you want to talk to him? He said, well, or do you want me to talk to him? Can he talk? He said, if you can talk to him, that's good. So I talked to him. I told him everything from whenever he started taking the aspirin, and I told him about the leg swelling, and I remember telling him that he was having shortness of breath. He was real tired and stuff. And then he even told him, confirmed it. He talked to the 911 personnel. He said, yeah, that's what I'm feeling, this and that, and that. All right, cool, he's drinking his water, his Gatorade. We get back, the fire truck arrives. I said, man, that's a fire truck? I said, why did they send a fire truck? I remember him saying, he's like, oh my God, they're gonna send everybody and their brothers over here. I said, Rodney, well, let's see what's up, man. So the ambulance, the fire truck pulled up. They got out. I got out the driver's side, went to the passenger side, and he was talking to Rodney, and I even told the guy, I said, look, man, his leg swells up. We went on home time in Florida a few days ago. He took an aspirin 2 days back to back. He wanted to help his leg stop the swelling. Well, at that point, I told him, I said, maybe there's a blood clot moved, or I thought it was something with his blood pressure. I thought something with his sugar, allergic reaction to it. And they're asking him questions, his name. He's able to answer everything, able to tell him what he's feeling. Shortness of breath, really tired. So at this point, he says, I can't walk very far. Let's get the gurney over here. So he called, ambulance arrived. They got the gurney and put the gurney on the passenger side in front of the truck. Rodney was able to get off the truck on his own. And this is where I can't believe it. I still can't believe it, because he was able to do all these things on his own, talk to them, and then all of a sudden just like that. Anyways, he got off the truck himself, and I remember he was going to walk around the door because the door was open, and he was going to go to the gurney, and then he said, wait a minute. I got to use the restroom. And he went to the back to do his thing, and I remember everybody was watching me, looking at each other, and then they looked at me like, what is he doing? I said, oh, he's using the restroom, because I remember before that, he said one of the reasons he didn't want to go to the hospital was because when people have shortness of breath in the lungs and stuff, they put a big pipe down their mouth, and he didn't really want that. And I said, well, look, Ronnie, if you're not able to get off the truck to use the restroom, because he didn't even want to do that before the ambulance came in. And I said, so if you're not able to do that, bro, they're going to put a catheter in. They're going to put a 10-millimeter catheter in your thing, and that's going to be worse than the tube down your throat. He said, yeah, you're right. All right, so that's when he decided to call an ambulance and whatnot. So he got out, went to pee, and he walked back up to the front of the truck, sat on the gurney. As soon as he sat down on the gurney, he laid down I remember the medics telling him, Rodney, go ahead and scoot up. We need to balance it out. Scoot up, man. And I remember him saying, I can't. I'm not. I can't bend my knees. I can't bend my knees. And he's just laying there, right? And I remember the fire dude, one of the medics said, come on, guy, we just seen you walk and scoot up. And I'm like, okay, maybe he can't. So they didn't even bother with it. They went ahead and scooted the gurney up to the ambulance, and as they were putting him in the ambulance, I remember him saying, he said, oh, I'm lightheaded. I remember him saying he was lightheaded. He said, I'm feeling lightheaded. And he said, and they closed the doors in the ambulance. I came back to my truck. I wanted to make sure his wallet and stuff, because he took the aspirin and whatever medication he was taking, which is the inhaler for his asthma. He took that with him. So I go back to my truck. I'm doing my thing. And stuff. And about 15, 20 minutes later passed by. Next thing you know, yeah, Brendan, he definitely was my man, bro. I miss him a lot, man. I miss him a lot. So the fire truck, the only person here was the ambulance. The fire truck had left. And next thing you know, I see the fire truck pull around, and then a couple people jump in the back of the ambulance. I'm like, what is going on? So I looked. So I got out my truck. I'm in the back side of the truck. And, at this point, I'm seeing these guys just, pushing on his chest, like, doing CPR. So I see these guys doing CPR or pushing his chest, like they were doing really hard. Like, I'm like, what's going on? And I remember I read the side of the truck that said medic supervisor or ER supervisor, something supervisor. Like, I said, bro, what's going on? If anybody, he's got to tell me what's going on. So he said, well, he said, it looks like he went into cardiac arrest. I'm like, what is that? He said, well, they're doing CPR now. Because I asked him, so what are they doing? At that point, I remember somebody saying 25 minutes, because I guess the supervisor had asked how long they'd been doing CPR. And he said about 25 minutes. And I was like, okay, what does that mean? Gracias, Alan. So, another 15, 20 minutes go by, and I remember watching inside the ambulance, and there was a good 8 people in there. And I remember them talking about, all right, how long you been doing it? They were timing each other so they could take turns doing CPR on him. And they were just hitting his chest, like, and I remember one guy got over his body, like one leg on each side of his body, and he was just doing it. And this went on for a good hour. And, I remember the medics come back to me and tell me, does he have any family? I'm like, wait, when people ask you that, it's like, that's not good. So I'm like, yeah, but why? Well, he said, are you his friend? I said, yeah, that's my friend. That's my partner. That's my man. He said, well, they've been doing CPR for quite some time now, and they put just about every medication they could to help him revive, And I said, no. I said, you need to take him to the freaking hospital. And I literally said it like that. I said, you need to take him to the freaking hospital, man. What's going on? He said, he said, I know we've done everything we could. And I remember the medic, the lady that was in the ambulance, she said, we just got a call from the examiner. They said to stop doing everything. I'm like, what do you mean stop doing everything? You know, you need to get him back up. He's died. Like, he's laying there with nothing. And at one point, I remember them sticking this big old pipe, like probably about that thick, down his throat. Like, it was pretty long. And I remember seeing his stomach go up and down, like he was breathing. I said, is he breathing? And I remember they said, well, we are breathing for him. I also saw they put a big, about that brown on his leg. And I asked the dude, I said, what is that, man? It was on there pretty tight. And I remember asking, what is that? And he said, oh, that's IV that goes straight to the bone. I'm like, straight to the bone. Like, he said it's supposed to react quicker than going through your veins and stuff. So, you know, when the lady told me that the examiner said to stop doing, I didn't know what to think. I didn't know what to say. I remember the first people that I contacted was Suzette. It was a friend of his. And I remember looking up his niece. And I contacted her to get his dad's number. So I still couldn't believe it then. And I told him, no, take him to the hospital. And they're like, no, we've done everything we could here. And I still remember him just laying there, and everybody was hitting his chest, like trying to revive him. You know, and I remember his sister telling me that, you know, being in the medical, they did everything they could. And she asked me how long they worked on him. And I said, for a good hour. You know, ever since he got into ambulance, it was a good hour. And I remember there were, oh man, it was crazy. It was crazy. And I couldn't believe it because we was just there talking. We called the ambulance. He got off the truck himself. And he walked to the gurney. And as soon as he laid on the gurney, it just went downhill from there. I don't know. And at that point, when they told me what happened, all I could think was the aspirin that he took a few days ago, because of the swellness on his right leg. His right leg used to get pretty big and stuff, and it would go down as he's not used it much. I don't know how it went down, but I believe that he moved a blood clot from his leg and moved it, and it went through the system, and it slowly went up to his heart, because his niece told me that yes, Suzette. Thank you, little dog. It's just crazy. And I remember him telling me, he said, Junior, I should have just left them freaking aspirins alone. And I think, his niece told me, the examiner came back and said that it was a blood clot that went to his heart and stopped his breathing. And that's what it was. That's what he said it was. And I remember Rodney telling me at one point, he said, Junior, if it's a blood clot, man, I don't want it to be that, man. And I told him, I said, it ain't that, bro. I said, it ain't that, man. It's probably your blood pressure, your sugar. You know, I didn't want to believe that because I knew that was death, you know, and if I would have, if we would have known, of course, I would have pushed him further, but I didn't know, you know. All I remember is just him talking about his leg, and after things happened, the aspirin was the one that did it. I believe, deep down inside, I believe that's what happened. The blood clot, his blood thinned out, the blood clot moved, and eventually worked its way up to the heart. You know, and it's hard. It's hard. You know, he was able to see his family, his niece. You know, he hadn't seen in years. He was a very happy man. He loved doing this. He loved doing this, and you know, it's just, he used to tell me all the time, and he says, man, I'm living a dream, and yeah, he was living his dream, and you know, he used to call it sightseeing and getting paid for it and stuff, and we had fun times, and I think that's what's hard because we had so many times together, you know, so many videos. You know, somebody said there will never be another round again. There won't. There won't.